Alright, so right now I'm gonna do a vlog that has no relationship to anything at all. I don't even, and what I mean by that is that that I did not plan this, I did not think about what I wanted to say. I mean, I do have notes on possible vlog topics I want to talk about, but this vlog right now has absolutely no goal or focus. Although the one thing, ironically, I do want to focus on is lack of focus. It's just that I feel blurry mentally, um, and slightly retarded. Um, just I do things, and after I do them, I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? Ugh. Yeah, I just like to do vlogs because they help me think about, or they help me. It's a good way to communicate what I feel without having to, I don't know, encounter any extraneous variables. Like just speaking to myself, I I'm being social by myself with myself, so there's absolutely no consequence. Uh, I guess I better explain myself there. Normally in social situations, I'm always concerned with someone else's judgment. I'm always concerned with what other another person might feel about what I'm doing, or if I'm contributing socially to a situation, to a conversation enough. Um, I'm always on edge about those kind of things. So when I'm speaking to myself now alone, I don't really have any of that concern. I don't have that feature, that obstacle present, so I don't have to worry about that at all, and I can just speak freely without my mind subconsciously going to those distracting places mentally. It's just there's no real. I haven't found any good ways to combat that. It started off as not very, but I mean, it started off as pretty bad social anxiety, and now at this point in my life, I feel like it's just something nagging me at the back of my mind, and it's not going away. Oh, don't know if that could be heard, but my guitar just fell from a chair. Yeah, it's like that. It's like something's like in the background, something's falling, and I'm constantly drawn to it instead of focusing on the present circumstance. So there's not much engagement I could get out of a situation if I'm always in my mind focused on what is distracting me. I can never really explain myself fully because I'm constantly thinking of how I should explain myself. And normally people are thinking of, okay, let's use the right wording, let me try and remember all the things I'm trying to speak about, like normal things that people have to do. The brain has to process and retrieve information accordingly, depending on what you're speaking about. So that's normal. But on top of that, I feel like I'm also, I was going to say severely, but I'm concerned about my social behavior. So on top of being concerned with how to just behave, I'm concerned of, well, is my behavior socially acceptable? And that's constantly nagging me, and I'm not able to really get away from that. One thing I've also noticed, just something I just thought of, it's just that looking at the camera lens, if you're looking at this video, or if I'm looking at this video, I'm looking directly into my eyes, but right now I'm just looking into the round lens of the camera, and it feels like I'm speaking to a robot. It really does. And it's weird too, because it doesn't feel that bad. It doesn't feel that bad to speak to a cyclops. Anyways, just made that observation. And it's hard to ignore because I'm looking at it right now. But on screen, it looks like I'm looking at you, whoever you are. So, it's weird. I really don't know why doing these things make me feel so much better. I don't know why speaking about my thoughts makes me feel better. It's just normally I don't speak about these things to people, and there's not really any correct way to just bring up your thoughts to people. I mean, you do, but I do, but not in this much detail. I guess that's where my vlogs kind of feel like freedom. Like, even if there's no entertaining aspect to them, even if there's nothing that really titillates or distracts you from your reality that other media tend to purposefully do, I still feel as if what I'm doing has purpose, and it feels good just to do it. Just like, as cliche as it sounds, it feels good, so I'm doing it. There's no adverse effects, at least none that I can see. Whenever, yeah, that's another thing I do. Whenever I encounter any kind of problem, or a situation, or any kind of activity, I always try to say to myself, what are the adverse effects, or what are the negative points I can conjure up about this event, or circumstance, or situation, or conversation, or observation, or anything, really. Yeah. I really feel like watching something sad right now. I feel like watching a romance movie or something. I don't know why, too. I don't know why I get these thoughts that like, I want to feel sad. It's just that sometimes being sad for me is like, it's very uplifting. It reminds me that I have emotion and that I do care. Because if you don't cry, then there's no strong connection you have to anything, I feel. Because when you cry, in my mind, whenever I think of crying, I think or of loss in general, like what's actually occurring biologically in the brain. Even I'm not exactly sure what does happen, but what I imagine is that these neurons, these connections, these pathways that are formed in your brain whenever you fall in love with something, or whenever you enjoy something, or you have a strong connection to something, and you like to associate yourself with that thing, whenever that connection is broken, that pathway or those neurons are crippled. They're physically being removed from each other. The connection is being severed. So that's why I feel it's important to cry and important to feel loss, because it's kind of almost like a pruning process. Like, you have to know when certain neurons no longer have to remain connected. You have to know when certain connections have to end. You have to know when there's no longer any room for any more relationship between the two things. So that's why I kind of tell myself that. I'm just like, I want to feel sad. And I guess that's the reason. Like, I want to feel sad because I want to remind myself that, there's always an end to certain things. You can't always be perfect, and you can't always be expecting things to remain alive and well and happy. It's just that I like that idea. I like the fact that I can admit to myself, at the very least to myself, that nothing is permanent, and there's no, like, even struggle or depression or sadness all have to end. They don't have to remain forever. And I guess I just like to remind myself of that yes, there is an end, and these pathways do have to disconnect in some way. Yeah. There's nothing else I really want to talk about, but I'm kind of surprised that I even had anything to talk about, considering that I started off this recording without any intention of recording anything meaningful. In fact, I went into it because I wanted to alleviate the problem, and I'm just surprised that it worked.